Thank you. I'm going to vote along with the motion this evening, but I'm going to hold my nose when I do it. And the reason being is there's actually about 3 reasons why I want to reject the bids this evening. The first being private property rights. As the mayor just mentioned, you folks have some vested interest in what you were buying when you bought your property, and therefore to change the use immediately adjacent to it would essentially be giving you a deal you hadn't planned for. But more importantly than that is the process. I think the process on this was bungled, and we're going to pay the price of not getting a trail that maybe would have been a benefit and an amenity to these properties because the process wasn't done correctly. You don't just decide to do this because we have the money, put it out to bid, and expect the bulldozers to start running. If this was John Q. Public coming forward with a proposed trail, there would be a hearing, there would be applications, there would be environmental, all of this stuff. We were just going to slip it in and, hey, let's go, we're in their backyards. That's ridiculous. If we had engaged them early on, there may have been things that we could have addressed. And hopefully, moving forward, we can address it. And that brings me to the third point of why I'll go along with the motion tonight, and that is because this is a trail to nowhere. It connects Falcon Meadow to a bridge that we may or may not have access to from the school district. So there's the other part of how the process got bungled on this, is we didn't look comprehensively at who are our stakeholders, the school district, the neighbors, et cetera. What are our access points, and how does it connect from one thing to another? And that's why I mentioned from the bridge to Elk Grove Florin, because at least that's making a new connection for the neighborhood rather than what would essentially be a loop. That being said, let me tell you why I'm going to hold my nose on it, and that is because to think of a trail as a bad thing, we need to shift our thinking on that. And this is not just a means for kids to get to a school. It's for you to go out with your significant other for an evening stroll. It's for your parents to take their dogs for a walk so that they and the dog get some exercise. It's for the kids to go out and see the ducks. And let me back up and give you a little history. I was in the first grade class at Markoffer Elementary. I grew up on Lismore Drive. I used to stomp around in that creek, catch crawdads, play in there. I played in the fields of grasses where most of your homes are now. I know the area, okay? But I grew up in a time where we had lead on our cribs. We rode around in the back of pickup trucks. We did things that were dangerous, and we survived, and we learned from it. So I think to coddle our kids beyond a point of allowing them to get out and experience life, we're setting them up for failure, and we need to change that way of thinking. If we have a problem with the criminal element, we need to address the criminal element. We don't build fortresses because we're so afraid of the people around us. That's just the wrong way of thinking. You are the eyes and the ears, and the people who are going to keep those punks from doing something bad in that backyard. Because you're there. Confront them. Call the police. Do something. Let them know they're not wanted, and they'll scurry away just like all pests do. Long story short, and I know how this is going to go, and so I won't belabor the point. But trails are an amenity for a community. You look at places like Folsom, Granite Bay, some other communities, Roseville, they have wonderful trail systems. We are trying to get that here. But trails also have to connect places. And creeks, and this was a creek. Granted, it's now looks like a drainage ditch, but it was a creek. No, ma'am, it was a creek that has been channelized into a ditch.
It's a public record that this creek is a drainage ditch. Department of Water Resources confirmed that. It is listed as a drainage stream on their ledger.
I understand that, but Elk Grove Creek existed long before the Department of Public Works. Okay? It is a creek. It has been channelized for drainage functions, and that is another thing, is we do need to get a handle on how we maintain our creeks, because I've looked back there with cattails and all of that stuff. If it's the Corps of Engineers or if it's Department of Fish and Game or whoever is telling us we can't get in there and do some devegetation, we need to figure that out, because we are setting ourselves up for a disaster where that debris builds up and it backs up into the neighborhood. That's a whole different issue. But my point being is that it is a waterway. Okay, how about that? Let's just settle on a waterway that has life in it, and that is something that can be experienced and enjoyed And fortunately, you folks can do that by looking out your back fence, if you so choose. But, you know, to open it up for a trail system, not necessarily here, because, again, I don't think that segment makes a lot of sense. But as we look for doing the next segment, which would connect Elk Grove Florin up to Williamson and Elk Grove Boulevard and beyond there, it's important for a community. It's important to provide these opportunities to get out and have some recreation, experience some wildlife. And, you know, and just my wife and I like to ride our bikes. And we, in fact, rode around there. And I know that the school didn't the road used to go around the school. And when they expanded the school, they've now gone out almost to the edge of the creek. So I knew the answer to my question. But I think, you know, that's part of referring this back to the Trails Committee, is to say, figure out how we can do something rather than just, no, let's not do anything. So I appreciate all of you coming out. And again, I'm voting no because I heard you. I'm just saying, hopefully we can look at it with an open mind going forward, that there is a good purpose for trails. And it can be money well spent.
Thank you. Councilman Davis. First of all, Councilman Hume, I appreciate the biographical sketch of the lead paint and the pickup trucks. It actually explains a lot. You know? Just kidding. No,